One more time, we are seeing that conservative judges and outdated policy are taking decisions over the bodies and lives of women in this country, specifically in Texas. Federal judges upheld a sweeping anti-abortion law on Tuesday in a decision that will close down most abortion clinics in Texas. The ruling held that the law, HB 2, which requires abortion facilities to comply with hospital-like standards, does not pose an undue burden for the majority of women seeking abortion in Texas, millions of whom will now have to travel hundreds of miles for an abortion. This is not cool. They are obviously trying to curtail access and the exercise of choice for those women that want to terminate a pregnancy. The law calls for clinics to follow a state rule on ambulatory surgical centers, facilities that are very costly. The Planned Parenthood, they have a project, $6.5 million, to be able to create a center that was up to standards with the law. The reality is that according to the American Congress of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, less than 1% of abortions actually involve major complications that will need this equipment and this standard of care. Right. So it's obvious that here is a conservative agenda to limit choice.
Well, they are trying to access clinics for women who can't, who might not have the means to go to a hospital and have an abortion. And these Planned Parenthood facilities that have abortion on demand, that's what this is. This bill is forcing those clinics to, comply if it passes. It hasn't passed yet. That's my understanding, that they're just talking about it.
No, the law is in place. The federal judges decide to uphold the law. So the law, as it stands right now, it already closed over 20 abortion facilities in the state.
Okay.
So this is something that is happening, and the federal government said, well, actually, this requirement of the law does not create undue burden for the women that need an abortion. They could be able to drive
it's going to affect poor women who can't
500 miles. We're talking about certain areas of Texas being 500 miles away from the nearest abortion clinic. And that's very dangerous, and I think that's irresponsible, because this is a sexual health issue and a choice issue.
I mean, it is, but also, one study does say, Texas, it does have a lot of restrictions on this issue. Very heated topic, a lot of politics at play, a lot of church activity at play, a lot of factors that we're not considering, in terms of cultural opinion that shape policy in Texas. But states that tend to have less restrictive access to abortion, they also tend to have less abortions. So it'll be interesting to find out what type of impact this law has on the number of abortions, and also cases where women, might not have access to health care. A lot of interesting stuff coming out of this, more continued for sure.
Definitely. This is being called one of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country. We're seeing a trend around the country. We have a map where we can see the different states and how they've been trying to pass laws and taking away abortion rights and choice. And I think that's at the heart of the story is we need to provide choice for the women that decide to terminate the pregnancy. And it's not surprising that the judges that actually upheld this decision, they are all from one of the most conservative appeals courts in the country, that is the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Only Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, and San Antonio are the only cities that will have abortion clinics in the whole state. El Paso, Texas is the biggest city in the country without an abortion
I know, Jose,
clinic.
but that's not unheard of. I mean, in most states, it's major cities, not rural little towns that have abortion clinics. That's not new to Texas. That's pretty standard, in specific states.
But there's the legal framework for them to exist.
Right.
And this is taking away that legal framework for them to exist. And I think that's what we need to be angry about. If there's no resources to create, that's one story. But the fact that there is a law preventing these clinics from existing to provide the service that it's not like we have lines of people going to have abortions. I think that's a backwards idea of the whole issue. I think that we have some women that decide that it's better for them to terminate their pregnancy because they might not have a partner or they might be victims of rape. And now we have all these laws being in place to curtail that right to make a decision on their own body. And I think that's what is at the heart of it. It's a conservative move to take away rights. But we want to know, what do you think? You are also outraged, or you think that this is the right way to go? Let us know in the comments, and please subscribe to the Live TV 2.